Hello, everyone. My name is Katherine Kreidler with the National Sports Media, and today I have the privilege to interview the 2024 National Sports Media Association Broadcaster of the Year, Joe Danneman. Thank you so much today for joining me.
I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Of course, first of all, congratulations on winning.
Thank you very much.
And what was your reaction when you found out?
Complete surprise, if I'm being honest, when I saw the list of people I was on the list of finalists with. I
Hmm.
didn't expect this to happen. It came out of nowhere, quite honestly, if you ask me. I have a lot of people to thank for nominating me and for thinking highly enough of me to nominate me for something like this. But I think it's most important, Catherine, that I hope that everybody who's had a small part of my career of getting to where I am right now can take a little piece of this as well, because there are so many people that when I was a young person like yourself, trying to make it in this business, that opened a lot of doors for me, showed me a lot of things, taught me a lot of things. I've tried to reach out to all of them and let them know how much I appreciate them because of what they've done for me to make a moment like this happen.
That's awesome. Could you tell us a little bit about where your passion and interest for sports started and your journey to where you are today?
Sure, it's hard to say where it started because it's been a huge part of my life ever since I can remember. Some of my first life memories are sporting events or big moments in the Cincinnati area sporting
Mhm.
scene. So it's been always something that's drawn me to it. And the funny thing is, when you're a young person, you love the games, you love the moments, you love the teams. And then when you start to morph into this as a career, and what really started to draw me towards it were the stories and the people. And I think that's where, even though I've been doing this for more than 20 years, my passion still lies in telling the great stories of the so many awesome things and people that do incredible things. And I think that's the really cool thing about my job is that, yeah, a lot of it is covering the Bengals and covering the
Mhm.
Reds and covering the local colleges and the games they play, but getting to tell the stories of the so many people that our viewers might not know a lot about and sharing their stories. Like this last year, there was a young man who was diagnosed with cancer who got to have a make a wish day with the Reds. And I did a story on him, and the LA Dodgers saw it, and the Dodgers were so moved by it. They told this kid that, listen, if we make the World Series, we want you to be our special guest.
Oh,
They made the World Series, and he got to go to games 1 and 2 at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. So, the kind of impact you can have with a job like this, to me, is what still drives me. And I think that's what's really cool about what I do, even more than 20 years later, that I still have that same passion
mhm.
for telling stories and sharing stories of people doing cool things.
That's amazing. So you went to high school at Covington Catholic.
Hmm?
Did you have any jobs? Like, did you do paper, the school paper there, or anything?
Okay, so I tried to be a part of our journalism class at Covcath and did not make the cut. To which the journalism teacher is still the same teacher now that
Oh,
was
that's
there in the late
funny.
90s when I was there. And I remind her of that all the time when I come to talk to her class,
Yeah.
that I didn't make the cut for her journalism class. I was involved with, in fact, my grade school paper. I found an article recently that I wrote on the eighth grade basketball team at my grade
Oh,
school. But in high school, no, I didn't do anything in particular. I was playing two sports. I had a part-time job. You being from Cincinnati, I worked at Skyline.
I was gonna guess that.
Yep,
That's
yep. I worked
awesome.
at Skyline, so my time was so limited. But I kind of knew what I wanted to do, and I wanted to pursue sports broadcasting. I didn't know exactly what discipline, whether it was going to be play-by-play, whether it was going to be local TV, or what I was going to do. But I kind of knew exactly what I wanted to do, and so I started looking for colleges while I was in high school. And Syracuse was always considered one of the top places to go. So that's where I went. And when I got in there, I kind of found out real quick how competitive it is, how
Mm.
difficult it is to make it there. And things worked out well because at Syracuse, you were driven really hard to be good. And I think it really served me well when it was time to get a job out of college.
So what would you say were like some of your early challenges, maybe in college or post grad in the sports media career?
Finding a job.
Yeah.
was really hard. And I don't mean to say that to you to scare you, but because I think things are different now. When I was entering the workforce in the early 2000s, there wasn't as much digital live sporting event availabilities as there are
Hmm.
now. And that's been a big game changer. And I tell students all the time about that's only going to grow more and more. When I was leaving school, it was basically you entered local TV, and that was kind of your entry point into sports. Now there are so many ways, whether it be live game broadcasting or podcasting or make up your own avenue. There are so many avenues to take now for young people in this business. But for me, I actually started out in news. I
Okay.
was working at the station I work at now, but I was the lowest person on the totem pole. I was a news writer. I ran teleprompter. I ran cameras. I did everything there you could in a newsroom. And looking back on it more than 20 years later, it was great for me because I learned everything there was to learn about surviving in a newsroom and making myself valuable. And that's the other piece of advice I give to young people. No matter what it is you do, make yourself as valuable as you can to wherever you work. And by doing that, learn multiple jobs. Don't just be stuck into this is my role, this is what I do. Find ways to create value for yourself by learning other jobs wherever you work. By being able to troubleshoot and help people, I think really helps people serve themselves as creating value for themselves and whatever job they get into. So yeah, my path is a little bit different. I started out at Fox 19 WXIX here in Cincinnati, and I've worked here pretty much my entire career except for a 2 year stint in Evansville, Indiana, when I had to get my first anchoring experience. But
Okay.
it's kind of a different path than most people take, but it served me well, and it's really cool to get to work in your hometown.
That's incredible. Yeah, I bet. Could you tell us a little bit about like a typical day in your life?
Yeah, it's hard because people always ask, "What hours do you work?" And I'm like, I really don't have set hours. It's hard because I'll just take the Bengals for an example. So during Bengals season, like they'll have media locker room availability at 11 a.m. Joe Burrow will have a press conference at
Yeah.
noon. And so then I have to do all the afternoon shows, our 4 o'clock, our 5 o'clock, our 6 o'clock. I'll do live shots down at the stadium with whatever is the best interview of the day. Usually it's whatever Joe Burrow says you know, is A block worthy stuff here in Cincinnati. So I'm in the
Yeah.
4, the 5, and the 6 after coming in at 11 a.m. And then I'm staying for a 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock show as well and trying to come up with something new for those shows. So some days are 12, 13-hour days. Other days aren't as long. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I dropped my phone. But I think it's hard to say what a typical day is because what I like most about this job is that there's nothing typical. Every single day is different. It's not being a beat writer for the Bengals or the Reds. It's going to high school events. It's doing high school stories. It's doing human interest stories on somebody who's not even involved locally in any professional sports. So a typical day is having to find things to fill time at 4, 5, 6, 10, and 11. I get that. But at the same time, what's really cool about my gig is that I get to find and do whatever it is I want to do on that specific day and make it interesting. I have to find things that are interesting to viewers, and that leads me to finding something new to do almost every single day. And I think that's a big part of the reason that the job never becomes stale because I'm never doing the same thing on one day and then the next thing the next day. It's always something different, which I think is really cool.
That is really cool. Do you have any memorable stories or like any high school stories that you covered or any memorable moments of the Reds or the
Sure.
Bengals?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many moments. I mean, the cool thing is that the Reds and the Bengals, especially the Bengals recently, with Joe
Yeah.
Burrow and Jamar Chase, they've been so good. I've gotten to go to these amazing events, the Super Bowl in Los Angeles. I got to go
Hmm.
to London to cover the Bengals when they played in London.
Right.
Those are really cool things. Like the travel that comes with the job is awesome. This coming
Yeah.
Sunday, I'm leaving for Arizona for 4 days
For
at Red Spring
yeah, spring
Training. Yeah,
training.
it's right around the corner. It's here. And so to get out of Cincinnati in the middle of February for a half a week is a great thing. People ask me all the time about some of the great stories I've done. There are two that come to mind. The one that I think will be a once in a lifetime story that actually won 2 Emmys because I did a
Oh,
story
wow.
her, and then a story on her again the following year, was a young girl. She was 10 years old. Her dad has Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS,
Mm.
and Major League Baseball had started, and the Reds had started a Lou Gehrig Day. And so they went to Great American Ballpark where the Reds play, and she had a little sign. And it was one of those signs that you can take the letters and move around and create a message with. She got for her 10th birthday, and she held up a sign and said, "My dad has ALS and he's my hero." And it caught
Oh.
the attention of all the Reds players. And the Reds had this dramatic wing. Nick Castellanos hit a grand slam. It was part of a long winning streak. And like all the Reds players after the game went over to her to show support. And so I did a
Oh.
story on her, and it was an amazing story. It turned out great. She's an amazing girl to interview. Her dad then died from
Mm.
ALS, and I don't know if you remember this. Taylor Swift came to Cincinnati
Mhm.
a couple of summers ago. He died right before his daughter's birthday, but knowing the end was coming, had ordered her tickets to Taylor Swift, had them wrapped, had them hidden, and told his wife before he died about this present that he left her.
Oh.
And so, even though he was gone for a month, she opened up this present from her dad, and it was tickets to the Taylor Swift concert, and they went and they had a great time. And she was very emotional talking about that. But
Yeah.
what's crazy about that? That's not even really a sports story, and that to me is what's really cool about my job, is that if you take pride in storytelling, and I think that's still something that's valued for whatever platform you work on. Whatever the story is, if it's a good story, people will care, and that was one to me that really I said that that's the story of a lifetime, to get to tell a story like that. And the other one is another one that I'm very proud of, and it was a young person. This guy was in high school. His sister was a college student, and they were home for Christmas break. She was home for Christmas break. The rest of the family was out of town, so it was just those two. She was babysitting. She was driving home, got into a car accident, slipped on ice, was hit by a tractor trailer, and was
Oh,
killed
jeez.
instantly.
Oh.
And so he was home alone. The mom and dad were out in Utah. They were trying to fly back to get home, and this kid was a high school basketball player and had nowhere to go, nothing. He didn't know how to deal with whatever he was dealing with, so he just went to his game. Typically didn't play, never got in. Coach decided to start him that night just to kind of take his mind off it, give him something to do, and the kid scored like 30 points.
Oh my
Had like
gosh.
the game of his life, right? And he talked about how he could feel his sister's presence in that moment. And the amazing thing is his parents got home from the airport and they went straight to the game. And there's a moment you can see on the video is his mom and dad walking in as he's checking out of the game to like this standing ovation, and they just meet at mid court and they just hug. And it's
Oh.
like a goosebump kind of thing. So
Yeah.
those stories are they don't come around very often, and those are the stories to me that stick with me more than whatever Joe Burrow's doing or whatever big game the Bengals played. Those human interest stories to me are the ones that matter, and they still stick with you even though you've been doing it for a long time.
I agree.
Yeah.
So my follow-up question was going to be, what do you think is the most like impactful thing about your job? And I feel like you
Mhm.
touched on that a little
Yeah,
bit.
that's it. That's it. And what's really cool is that when I see people out in public, they'll come up to me and say that's what they like most about what I do, and
Yeah.
that really is impactful to me. That look, we no one knows where local TV is going to be in 10 or 15 years, but storytelling will always matter on whatever platform it is. And as long as I have this platform and I can share stories of people doing amazing things or amazing moments happening, that to me is going to be the most rewarding part of my job. So,
Mm.
yeah, you wonder all the time, because when I was your age, I was like, am I doing the right thing? Am I going to make a difference? Because my family is, my wife's a nurse, dad's a doctor, my mom was a nurse, like everybody was in healthcare in my family. Like, I can see every single day how they help people.
Yeah.
And I wonder all the time, am I making the kind of impact that I should? Am I helping people? And
Hmm.
I do see sometimes that impact where people see stories, and people share their stories and it can impact other people. And I think that to me is still rewarding, and kind of fills that. space inside where you wonder if you're helping people, and I can see that it is. And that to me is what's rewarding about the job.
I agree. That's incredible. And we touched on this earlier, your advice for young professionals or students wanting to get into the sports media
Mhm.
career. You said make a difference, or like you said, try and go outside of your job that
Yes.
you have, learn more.
Be versatile. Be
Yes.
versatile because being versatile creates value for yourself. If you can do a lot of things, then you can start to pick what path you want to go on. And so I tell people, especially like young writers, people who want to write. We see all the time now people who write are doing podcasts or doing TV appearances, or people who are on TV. You also have to write as well. Like I do all the writing for our website and all those that kind of thing. So I think being versatile in whatever it is you do, and being open to being versatile creates value for yourself. So that's always been my advice to young people who are trying to break into this business. The sports media business has never been bigger. It's only
Mhm.
going to get bigger, which is exciting for people your age. Be open minded, find a way to get a foot in the door. And once you have a foot in the door, create value for yourself. And whatever job it is, uh, be a fun person to be around. Be a good person at your workplace.
Mhm.
People want to work with people who are excited to show up to whatever job they do, who are good people at whatever they do. It's
Yeah.
not just about being good at your job. It's about being a good person as well. And I think sometimes, especially in media, I take it serious, right? Sometimes you have to be a bit of a emotional robot. You got to turn off your emotions when you're covering sports. You got to be a professional and cover the game. But we're not robots.
Yeah.
Be a human being and understand, be empathetic to what people are going through. So I think all of that kind of falls into the same bucket of just be a good person, right? Be a good person, be versatile, pick up skills, never stop learning, and that'll create value for yourself. It's not just being good at the job, it's being good at being around people. And I think if you
Mhm.
do that, people will want to open doors for you.
That's great advice. I completely agree. I think those are all the questions I have for you, but thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. This is fun.
And yeah, this was, and congratulations on winning,
Thank you very much.
and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.